So we got 431 Manzanita. And what's our access code? Tell me, ready for contact?
Yep.
All right. Fire department. Hello, good afternoon.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
My name is Jason, and this is Jess, and we're from the Marin Wildfire Prevention Authority. We are going door to door, letting all of our neighbors know about the dangers of wildfire and how we can better protect your home and defend it in the event that a wildfire will come into the area here. Do you have a moment to take some time with us and walk around your property?
Sure.
All right. All right, Sylvia, well, let's take a walk down here and go review your property. Upon looking at this here, kind of just to let you know, what we're really concerned with during wildfires is not necessarily that flaming wall of fire that you think about destroying these homes. Really what we're concerned with is the litter and the debris on the ground. And we worry about it coming into this debris, right? And catching here and then transferring to something that's going to be more powerful, stronger, hotter, and then carry its way to your home. The oak tree itself is very, very drought tolerant. It's a good tree. They just put off a ton of leaf litter. So that we're not necessarily concerned about the trees burning down. We're concerned about what they put off. Any sort of wood mulch is going to be flammable. We want to stay away from the mulches that have dyes attached to them. Those are even more flammable. And typically if you're going to go with a mulch, we say the bigger the better. Okay. The fire department does recommend you go with a gravel type mulch. That's always going to be our preference. But if you're going to go with a big mulch, a larger mulch, think of the bigger pieces. Those are going to be less combustible. And what's great about our new program here is she's got the iPad. She'll take pictures of anything that we see that could be potentially hazardous. And what's wonderful is in a couple days, you'll be able to log in. You'll be able to type in that code. You'll see all the pictures we took, and it'll provide you with a description of the hazard and how we deem it to be mitigated.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. You have really good space in your vegetation here. You don't have a lot of stuff up against each other. This is a little dry here. We might want to consider getting some more water in this plant here, because you can see here's a lot of fuel right here that could ignite. Same thing. We really look at taking care of what's underneath the plant, and once underneath the vegetation, that's kind of where our area of concern is.
And to piggyback on the oak leaves, at this point we'd be worried that they're on the roof as well. It looks like you have a gutter on either side, so just kind of being mindful, cleaning that up throughout the summer, especially after a windy day.
Yeah, so what they're finding in the field is that, unfortunately, a lot of the fences that are attached to homes are combustible, and so the fire is spreading somewhere else that leads to the home, and the fence is one of those problems. So what we're recommending, to homeowners, if they're able to do so, is put like a metal flashing in between the fence and the side of the house to prevent that fire spread. Excuse me.
Okay.
Yeah, we want to create a break in the fuel.
Right. This looks awesome.
Yeah, so this is what we like to see. You have really good hardscaping around your home, and what we look for is Zone 0, what we call, and you'll see some of this information in some of the literature I have for you today. Okay. Zone 0 is our buffer zone that we're really, really concerned with. Zone 0 is from your home, think of your home out 5 feet. Okay. That's the area that we're really concerned with, that we want to make sure is hardened, so that way no embers, no fire can lead up to your home and take your home down. So this looks great. You have great hardscaping here. We just want to make sure that some of this leafy debris, and that's going to be most of it. A lot of it is going to be some simple things that you can do to help protect your home. It's going to be mostly cleaning up kind of the dead leaf litter.
Right.
Yeah. So because you have your windows low here, we would be concerned with a window open on a hot day and an ember coming here and then it spreading into the window. Which actually leads me to a good point. You're going to have an evacuation checklist here. One of the things in the checklist talks about getting ready, having a go bag, and what you should do in the event that you have to evacuate. And one of the things that we want you to do as the fire department, want to make sure all your windows, doors, garage doors are closed, and you want to open your gates. And the reason we're going to have you do that is because for twofold. Gives you a chance to exit your home in the event of an emergency if you can't make it out your front door. Also gives the firefighters a chance to come in through your house and defend your property from the back if for some reason the fire started in your backyard. The other part of that is if you do have a wooden gate and you leave it open, you're creating a space from that fuel to get to your home. So that's why we want you to leave gates open. We want you to close up your home. We want you to open up your gates, leave nice access for firefighters to get in, and also give a fuel break in case the fire were to start on your fence and go along your fence line.
Right. Oh, I never thought about that.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
All right, so this could be an area we may want to consider kind of addressing a little bit. You have some vegetation closely together here, and we like to see vegetation a little bit further apart, just due to the fact that it creates, again, another fuel break. It'll slow the spread of a fire in the event that the fire would come into your backyard. When we start looking underneath the plant, you know, these plants look nice and green and healthy, but when we start digging a little bit deeper, that's when you start seeing this leafy dead litter that we worry about when an ember comes down, is this kind of stuff catching.
You know, obviously the dying stuff, you know, the more water heavy plants, you might not be able to keep them alive this summer. So just thinning it out, creating some vertical and horizontal space.
Yes.
Especially in this section where you have these tree limbs sort of like grazing the floor of the bed of flowers.
So cutting the tree limbs so they're not as close to the floor.
Yeah.
Typically, we want trees limbed either 6 feet tall or a third of the tree. And in the event of this, we would go, because 6 feet tall would be over half of this tree, so you'd want to do about a third of the tree. But again, like Jess said, you want to keep it so you're creating horizontal and vertical fuel breaks. So you're keeping some of these, so if the event that something did catch down here, it wouldn't spread to this nice healthy tree. And if you're interested in possibly removing some things and putting in some drought tolerant plants and vegetation, I will have some literature for you for Fire Safe Marin, as I kind of mentioned, on your doorstep.
Okay.
They have some good resources in here.
Okay, great.
And they work in conjunction with the Marin Master Gardeners, and they're a great tool for basically, they'll give you some guidance as to what drought tolerant plants to place.
Right.
Just one more area, like the leaf litter down below.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is far away from your home, and like your life is more valuable. But yeah, exactly. The one way to mitigate that is to seal it off, just like around all sides, so that there's no opportunity for dry leaves to get caught underneath there.
When we're looking at decking, underneath stairs, any of those little tiny crevices that this dead debris can get into is the same way an ember can get in there. So we're trying to address those at the same time.
Got it.
Well, it's a really tight mesh. It's like at least 1/8 of an inch or smaller, and those are perfect. So.
Yeah, and that's what we're looking for, is to keep your vents 1/8 of an inch or less. Anything we see over 1/8 of an inch has the potential to allow an ember to make it into your home. If you picture a matchstick, think of a matchstick. If it's the size of a matchstick can enter through a mesh, so can a flying ember. And same thing with the front, like we've mentioned to you all. This is going to start sounding redundant because you don't have a lot of dead vegetation, which is really kind of what we're looking for in the back here. But again, the mulch, you have the bigger mulch. That's what we want to see, and it's further away from the home. Right. So these are all positives.
We don't really want you to just get rid of all your plants. Of course, that'd be a crazy idea to suggest, but you might have to make some selections to get rid of, and that way it'll be easier to maintain the garden and get in those hard to reach places and clean up the dry debris.
So this would be an area, I don't know if, are you guys using this lumber? Like dry wood? Yeah. So that would be an area we want to consider. You know, the nice thing is, again, this is far away from your home, but it is right next to a tree. And this makes for good ladder fuel, what we call when, again, embers come in here, fire starts, eventually gets to a heavier, hotter heat source. Yeah.
One thing I noticed back there, though, you do have some good hardscaping around those tool sheds. I saw some gravel. And your neighbor has bamboo.
So we are aware of that, and we just haven't gotten around to talking to our neighbor about it because we don't really know them. But I think it's important to be able to speak to your neighbors.
Yes, absolutely. That's something we encourage too. We encourage that for, you know, one, so that way you guys can be on the same page with coming to agreement when you have a tree that's, you know, coming over, or like this, that you have a fire hazard that's coming from one yard to another. And we also encourage it because that way when there is an evacuation, you know your neighbors and you know who needs to get out. You know, maybe there's somebody elderly or somebody with a disability or some, you know, somebody that has young kids. So that we're always encouraging friendly neighbors because of that situation. We want everybody to be looking out for each other. Yeah, Sylvia, it looks like really just what we're noticing is just just debris on the ground, maybe some plant spacing. And I know we're in a drought right now, so this probably looks a lot greener when we're not in a drought. But yeah, just maybe a little bit of plant spacing and some cleaning up of the debris on the ground that collects.
Right.
And that's typical of most yards we're seeing.
Okay.
It's really just the small things, the leaf litter that collect on the ground that we're looking at having a big change doing. So. So here you go. Here's a good example. We don't want things to start kind of growing under the eaves. We want to keep things kind of trimmed back a little bit away from the house just to try and create that fuel break. Again, this is a nice wax broadleaf plant. It looks great. It's, again, just the debris underneath.
Right.
Yeah. Which is good. You don't have a lot of juniper and cypress in your yard. You know, that's what we really are concerned with when we see this stuff is, you know, if we'd come back here and seen a bunch of juniper plants, that would have been a different conversation. But you have some things that are definitely you're able to address. You and your family here that are, you know, they're small things. Think of the small things.
Right.
Go for the things that are easy to do and helping make your home safer. Something we're reminding people is these jute floor mats right here, highly combustible. So bring them out in the winter time, and as soon as it spring breaks comes out, throw the rubber mats out and throw the jute mats in the garage and wait for the winter time to bring those out there. Again, good space on this side of the house. Both sides of your house look fantastic. You have good exits on both sides. You have multiple ways to exit your home in case there was an emergency.
Right.
That's wonderful. That's what we look for. Yeah, same thing. Just to bring, you know, honestly, Sylvia, you should feel pretty happy that that's really that's all we're looking for is creating some of this ground cover that builds up all that debris and just kind of getting rid of that. Anything that's combustible away from your building, like we talked about. So that goes with garbage cans too. We want to take the garbage cans, put them out on the street, get them out of the way. Actually, they're pretty out of the way here. I mean, that's a good. My only concern would be here. Let's say this fence catches on fire. Those garbage cans catch on fire. Each can is the equivalent of about 20 gallons of fuel. And so here I would worry about it impeding an exit for you, or impeding a firefighter from coming to save your home. If this is engulfed in flames, he or she wouldn't be able to come back and save your home.
Okay.
Now that's when that's an evacuation warning, right? Your family's safe, you're prepared, you have your go bags, everybody's set and safe. Then we want you to start doing those little things, closing up all your windows, closing your doors, moving everything away. That's if you have time. So Sylvia, what I'm going to give you here now, I kind of spoke with you about it. We talked about the evacuation checklist. There's some great information here. So here is our pamphlet on Fire Safe Marin. They've got some wonderful literature there related to your screens and how that can affect and get in your home. This is your code to the report. The link that all the pictures that Jess had taken today. You go ahead and by Monday, the report will be available. You go ahead and type in that access code, and you'll be able to see all the things we took pictures of. Have a little description of why we deem it hazardous, and try and how to mitigate that.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. And if you have questions, we've got our email and our phone number here for you.
Great.
Sylvia, thank you so much for your time today. It was a pleasure meeting with you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you both.
Yeah. Please stay safe, and again, if you have any questions at all, please feel free to call us.
Yeah, this is really helpful. It's so important.
It's our pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.